Oh my god, the catabolic mitochondria disposition of the mitosis of the oxalate. What's going on, YouTube? What's happening? So I'm ready for another Genetic Beast educational roast. It's gonna be great. So now, Genetic Beast, man, he does not know anything about freaking genetics, man. That's the freaking topic, man. He doesn't know, man. And so what happens when someone does not know, man? You have to come in and freaking educate, man. And so it goes down like this, right? I'm defending the consumption of fruits, man. I eat fruits, man. So does the rest of the world. But according to Genetic Beast, man, if you freaking eating fruits, man, you're freaking deteriorating, man. And so what he did, man, is that he started to compare me to other people, man, to make his point, man. And so he started out by comparing me to Jason Blaha, you know. He doesn't know, man, that that's a freaking compliment, man. And so what we're gonna do, right, is that I'm gonna play what Genetic Beast had to say, how he compared me to Jason Blaha, and then I'm gonna come in and chime in, man. So let's get to it.
It's showing in your body, in your physical. That's why I did that video of you comparing you with Blaha, because he too is accelerated aging. He's deteriorating, and you're deteriorating a lot faster than he is, because at least he's on TRT. But we can see it on you because you're not using anything to cover it up, any cosmetics.
Alright, well, you heard that clearly, man. We're both deteriorating, man, but I'm deteriorating a lot faster, man. Now let's iron this out. First, Jason Blaha's 47, I'm 59, man. I got him by 12 freaking years, man. Of course, I should be aging, man. I want to age gracefully, but what a freaking compliment to compare me to someone who's 47 years old, which I tell you, man, that's why he doesn't know anything about genetics, man, because Jason Blaha has like 214 pounds or something like that. He's taller or something like that. I'm freaking 152 pounds, man. And so there's no freaking comparison, man. So as I said, Genetic Beast does not know anything about genetics. And I'll prove that a little bit more when I get to the next one, which is about this freaking African American who's 70 years old. Let's take a listen, man.
I love this. He's going to compare this so-called 70-year-old guy on steroids. Does he look like you? Mr. Off the Chains Fitness, does he look like you?
Alright, does he look like me? Does an African American with superior genetics look like me? There's another freaking crazy comparison, man. This guy is 70 years old. Let me tell you the little story about Mr. OG. Mr. OG, he started working out at 40. He's now 70, which means he's been working out 30 years. I've been working out 8 years, man. So look at that difference. And second of all, man, you got a freaking West African American. I don't know, man, if you know these freaking African Americans, man, they have superior genetics, man. I'm Puerto Rican, bro. What are you doing? You're freaking comparing Mr. OG to me, bro. You gotta be freaking out of your rockers. Now, this can only come from someone who does not know about genetics. Because if you know about genetics, you won't make the comparison. He said clearly, does he look like you?
Does he look like you?
Does he look like you? And so that's a freaking crazy comparison. Let's listen to some more.
See what I mean? You're exercising like him. You say he's 70 and you're what, 59? And you say he's 70.
That was loud and clear, bro. You're exercising like him, right? Which means that if you exercise like someone, then you ought to look like them. That's what it implies, doesn't it? You work out like him. Like, I have to give you a lesson from Mr. Dorian Yates about genetics. He says, look, you can work out like me, you can sleep like me, you can wake up and work out exactly like me. You can do every single thing I do. You can eat every single thing that I eat. And if you do not have the genetics to measure up, you won't freaking measure up, period, man. That's something to know about genetics, man. But according to Genetic Beast, he says, hey, you don't look like him. You work out like him and you eat like him, which means I'm supposed to look like him, which means, guess what? Genetic Beast does not know anything about freaking genetics. So let's listen some more.
How many 70-year-olds do you know on steroids? How many 70-year-olds do you know that look like that without steroids?
How many 70-year-olds you know on steroids? I don't, man. That's what makes this special, man, that this guy is freaking particular, man. He's one of the guys that's trying to inform people, man, that if you work out, if you take care of yourselves, that you could be amongst one that's looking freaking really good. That's what I'm doing. I'm 59 years old, man, and I could do things that people can't do half my age, and that's what I'm trying to freaking sport. I'm trying to sport that you don't have to be busted in your 60s, man. And so I'm trying to be an example of that. So is he. So we are rare. Another thing, man, is that freaking great if he's on steroids. If he's taking TRT, he's 70 years old. He ought to be, man. Of course, man, that's the good part of taking steroids. When you get to that age, man, 50, 60, 70 years old, it's recommended you check your testosterone. And why? Because there's a real big chance that your testosterone, as you age, man, it declines. And so it gets in the way of sex. It gets in the way. This guy doesn't have any problem. But Genetic Beast says, oh, why should he? He's on steroids. Let's listen some more.
Okay, so why aren't you like that? Why don't you look like that? You're eating the same food, doing the exercises like him. How come you don't look like that? Want to know why? Because he's doing something artificial.
Oh, so why aren't you like that? Why don't you look like that? You see, that can only come from someone who does not know anything about genetics, because anybody with wits won't make the comparison, man. Freaking Puerto Rican against a West African, man. You ought to know that these freaking guys, man, they have superior genetics. That should be a no-brainer, but for Mr. Genetic Beast, man, he made the comparison between a Puerto Rican and a West African guy like that, man, which is like, maybe you don't want to do that, bro. Let's listen some more.
I take one look at you and there's just no comparison, you and that guy. Unless you're going to take steroids, you want to look like him? You want to look like him? Take steroids, and then you can make up a bunch of stories about eating strawberries and bananas too, okay?
All right, man, you heard that clearly, man. Just one look at you, man. There's no comparison. Of course there's no comparison, man. You should know that, man. You're the guy, Mr. Genetic Beast, with all the scientific background and all the catabolic and the potamus and the apoptosis. You're the guy that ought to know more than me, man, that you don't do that. You do not compare a West African to a Puerto Rican, or you don't compare him to anybody. He's 70 years old, man. He's a freaking rare commodity, man. He's there for that reason, man, because a lot of people don't freaking work out like he does. A lot of people don't take care of themselves like I do. And so if you don't understand that, you end up like a guy like you who gets himself into trouble for comparing, man. Let's get to the next one, which is a good one, man, where Mr. Genetic Beast has the nuts to compare himself to. Let's check it out.
I'm bigger than you, Mr. Plates for Dates. Guess what? I'm 50 and I'm bigger, see? And I'm stronger than you. Bam. And I'm not on roids. I don't have that those bubble shoulders that you have.
Alright, and you know, he freaking pinned himself against the wall, man, by freaking comparing himself to Mr. Derick from More Plates, More Dates, man, which is a freaking bad move, man. Let me tell you. I have a compliment for you, Mr. Genetic Beast. Hang in there, bro. Hang in there. You look freaking great. But you screw it up by comparing yourself to freaking Derick, man. You shouldn't make that comparison, because right here, man, you look freaking awesome. You got muscles, man. If you just left it alone, you could be such a specimen of an example that you want to convey, that you want to portray. But how dare you freaking, once you compare yourself, you open yourself to ridicule, man. I don't think you understand what you did, man. Also, man, it's an insult to yourself, to you. When you go and you compare me to a freaking West African, you compare me to Jason Blaha, and so what you do is you deny people's abilities to create these freaking muscles naturally, man. Okay, so guys, man, don't freaking screw yourself by comparing yourself to others, man. Understand genetics, man. Understand that we're wired differently, man, that a lot of us possess a lot of different things, man. I tried to explain to Mr. Genetic Beast, man, how the world is so vast with so many colors, man. And so you don't want to do that and compare, man. Show your abilities, man. Show who you are and be good with who you are, man. And stand strong, man. I'm 59 years old, man, and I love the progress I've made. I would never do that to you, Mr. Genetic Beast, and make a comparison against you. or you were OG, or you with anyone, because your freaking genetic disposition is freaking what it is, man. I can't compare you to anyone. Just like the lesson that came from Dorian Yates, you don't want to compare yourself to someone on or off steroids, or thinking that if you did take steroids that you could look like someone, because that is not true, which means that once again, you do not know anything about genetics, man. So, okay, man, I hope I freaking woke some people up about genetics, man, that you want to be careful about how you compare people. You want to look at their age ranges and how long they've worked out. You want to take a look at their background and where they come from, man. You want to understand that the genetics of a Brazilian, the genetics of a Puerto Rican, the genetics of a Mexican. Mexicans are freaking small, man. Did you know that? You go to Asian, they're all freaking like this, really skinny, man. And so the genetics, man, speaks a lot about how a person is wired, how a person is made. And so genetic beast, maybe you, now that you know this, you can go, oh, let me figure things out a little bit more before I go ahead and say that this guy, if he takes steroids, that he could look like a West African. That's really freaking funny, man. And so anyway, bro,